One that whose underlying use value, gold has underlying use value. You can use it to fill cavities. The underlying use value of Bitcoin is to do ransomware or something like that.
Bitcoin is worthless artificial gold.
Within a decade, crypto and blockchain technology will be the 12th sector in this.
Bitcoin doesn't have any value in and of itself. It's not backed up by anything.
Roughly a coin average price of 30,700. Spent about $4 million on it.
Is that we are not buying this dip because it's not a.
After a switcheroo like the crypto space hasn't seen in years, Bitcoin and the entire crypto market revisit levels seen just 2 days ago, with the DXY potentially finding support as expected in bounce zone 2.0 around the 105 level. The stock market squeaks closer and closer to a potential mega dump as this year-long trend line that has acted as massively big resistance dumps on the baby bulls once more. But what if I told you that I have evidence that the case for this slight dump episode is actually completely manufactured, and the reason why is insanely big? So lay down, grab a drink, and ask your wife or husband, girlfriend or boyfriend, mom or dad to rub your toes while you watch this video, because it's going to be big. Right now, the crypto space is experiencing a little dump after a finally substantial pump above the $17,000 level, as we've been waiting for months and months. But what this means for the space coming after the CPI and FOMC meeting is very big. And what if I told you that the biggest fake out is the reason that this is being manufactured, and it's not from who you think it is? Absolutely time-sensitive alerts. And without any further ado, let's step into what will surely be a completely mind-boggling webisode. As we take a look here with Bitcoin's price, we are now about halfway. We've given up about halfway of the gains that we've gotten over the last couple of days. Bitcoin is still holding above the $17,000 level after getting rejected right at the 50-day moving average. Right now, the 50-day moving average is above the 21-day moving average because we've gotten completely dumped on. This cross happened back at the beginning of November, right after SBF diddled us to infinity and beyond. You'd think diddling Sweet Sweet Caroline was enough, but no, he decided to diddle the world as well. What an absolute savage. But before we continue with this, one thing that I want to highlight is this. So we got the FOMC meeting yesterday. We got the 50 basis point hike, which was expected. It was like over 80%, well over 80% expected. Like that was exactly the rate hike that everyone was expecting. The reason we dumped, however, though, is because they basically doubled down, saying that the total rate, the terminal rate, I believe, is going to be above 5%, which they increased. Basically, what that means is that the chance of a pivot is not as soon as expected, and that was the more so bearish reason that the market started to move down. And the stock market started to dump, and that is why Bitcoin started to move as well. And we're going to look at that in a second. But one of the things that I think is going on here is that I believe that the Fed, they were late with all of this, right? I believe about 6 months late. They took forever to start recognizing and then tackling inflation. Roughly, 4, 5, 6 months late actually increasing these rates, which if they would have started earlier, most people would agree. In fact, everyone would agree that then this would have been more tameable, more quicker, and we might have already pivoted by now if they would have started, raising rates a long time ago. At the very beginning of 2021, of 2022, but they did not do that. And now we find ourselves in the situation we're in now. But the big thing is, I personally believe that what they're doing right now is being insanely aggressive, as they've been saying they are, but with the hopes, and in my opinion, what's more likely that by being so aggressive and by doing this, by slowing down the economy so much, it will ultimately make for a softer landing and trying to basically bluff. I personally think that they are bluffing a little bit. I do absolutely believe that they're going to keep, raising the rates as they've been saying, but I personally believe that they are taking a very, very pessimistic look at inflation right now. And ultimately, I think that will be a good thing for when the market does pivot. But in the meantime, it will dump the markets. It will create more fear, more, shakiness in the space. And ultimately, we have to remember that the Fed does not want the stock market to pump right now. They do not want equity markets to pump. Absolutely, they don't want crypto markets to pump. They do not want people getting optimistic and bullish on these markets. That is absolutely what the FOMC meeting is even for, is what they're telegraphing, what they're going to do. And they know that everybody is watching those meetings to either get bullish or bearish on the markets. And so they've become overly aggressive as of yesterday, or continuing at least very hawkish stances, because we've had 2 CPI reports that were good. The last 2 were good. But we also have to be honest, that's not really enough to say for sure that inflation is being tamed. So we have to wait, to see more and more data come out good. We need to see month after month good, lower CPI, which by being so aggressive, that is exactly what should happen. But in the meantime, they're just trying as much as they can to suppress these markets for now. In my opinion, I think for the next 2 to 3 months, they're going to really, really try very hard to suppress these markets. But ultimately, the longer that they do that, the stronger that the reversal will be once they decide to pivot. And basically what I'm saying is these prices, the market, Bitcoin is right now at about 17,000, which we got down to about 15,000. I fully believe specifically was because of SBF. I mean, this entire dump, it's not even really an opinion. This was because of SBF and FTX. And now we've been slowly inching up here. But, it took basically one of the biggest exchanges on the planet to collapse to get us there. To really bring us much lower, there are only a few things that can happen. And those are cataclysmic type events. If none of those happen, like if Binance doesn't collapse, if Tether doesn't collapse, and if we don't go into World War III or something, then this market will slowly inch up, even as these rates are being hiked, as we've seen already. So with that being said, the DXY has looked completely pitiful, and we probably should have gotten a stronger bounce here. We didn't, and we so far, we're having a little bounce today, but realistically, I personally think we should have if the DXY is really gonna continue in an uptrend for multiple months, which I don't think it will, but there are people that say they think that it will, then this really has to start reversing here or at this other zone down here, pretty much all where these previous lower highs were on the way up over the past couple of years. So, if I was really hoping that the DXY was about to just completely reverse and start making new highs, I would not be very optimistic. This doesn't look good for the DXY, which ultimately over the next few months does look good for equity markets and Bitcoin. But right now, they are going to get dumped on. Okay, people are fearful. People are scared. In my opinion, whether people like to admit it or not, we are turning a corner. Now, it's not the corner that most people want, meaning like pivot by next month. That's not the case. But in terms of like looking at this, in my opinion, and saying the worst of the worst is over, I think that, in my opinion, that's absolutely the case here. Now, we're gonna keep getting dumped on for the next couple of weeks, most likely. But if you're looking at this from the perspective of I want to time like the exact bottom, again, which is impossible to do over and over again, it's not something you should really aim to do. But if that's a long shot goal that you have, then obviously I think that some of these prices represent a very, very good opportunity for that. Even looking on Bitcoin's chart, we have some sort of double bottom structure that has not gone below this in about a month. We haven't come back down to this $15,000 level. It has slowly been inching up, breaking some moving averages, and it's still very early in this trend, but you can see how that even if the Fed it remains very hawkish in their telegraphing and very hawkish in their rates and everything for the next couple of months. Even if that does happen, there is still a very strong case to be made that with that happening, Bitcoin can still reclaim at least the $20,000 level. Okay, we got this dump not because of the rates. So we had this dump on November 10th. What was the stock market doing on November 10th? It was pumping. The stock market is still up a lot from then. We are still trying to reclaim the losses just from November 10th. Why? Because we are still recovering from the FTX collapse. And now another thing we have to note is that they just introduced a bill, I believe yesterday, I think it was Elizabeth Warbucks, about strict regulation of crypto, which if you read the bill doesn't really make any sense. In fact, the people that are trying to pass all these laws still, the fossils trying to pass all these laws still don't understand like the basic concepts of crypto, which, if we lived in a rational world, should crypto be regulated? Yes, right? But is it too much to ask to have the people that are regulating it read about it for like 5 minutes, right? Have the most basic understanding of any of it? Is that too much to ask? Absolutely not. I don't think it is too much to ask. I think at the very least that if you're going to make, and this could be used for, they make laws about things, governments make laws about things they know absolutely nothing about all the time. But for pizza's sake, is it too much to ask for the people that are going to want to regulate these cryptos, which is it needed? Probably, right? Is it too much to ask that they do the smallest amount of research, right? But again, they're paid by the banks to lie anyway. So, maybe they do know, but they're just lying about the facts anyway, because that's what they're lobbied and paid to do. And that is exactly why we need decentralized technologies like Bitcoin, amongst a million other things, right? There's a million reasons we need it. That's just a very good one as well. So you guys the channel, make sure to turn on these absolutely time-sensitive alerts. Take advantage of over $30,000 in deposit bonus with BITGET specifically. $30 free simply by signing up. It takes 1 minute to put in an email, create a password. You get 30 free USDT as a welcome gift, and as well other bonuses below, totaling, I believe, over $45,000 in deposit bonus as well. Without any further ado, it's free.